Thanks for joining us. If we do get emergency use authorization over the weekend for the J&J vaccine, is it a game changer for America's prospects in the short term?
Well, look, I think it's going to dramatically change the supply equation. This is a good vaccine. I would expect this vaccine will get authorized by FDA, and they're going to be able to ship between 2 and 4 million doses next week. You already hear governors talking about the additional supply they're going to bring on next week. And J&J has talked about providing more than 20 million doses by the end of March. If you factor that into the amount of vaccine that's already being shipped to the states are getting about 16 million doses a week. You layer on top of that another 4 or 5 million doses a week, and you're looking at a situation where over the next 4 weeks we'll be able to vaccinate, for the first time, vaccinate at least an additional 12 million people, with more receiving their second dose. And so we've already vaccinated close to 50 million Americans have at least one dose of vaccine. You add on to that about another 50 million Americans who can get at least one dose of vaccine over the next 4 to 5 weeks. And we're looking at being able to vaccinate more than 100 million Americans before the end of March. That really is a game changer. If you can get that much protective immunity in the population over that time frame, and I think we can with the addition of J&J, that's going to dramatically alter the landscape for risk.
So is the outstanding, or the main outstanding issue now, new variants? And what do you make of the new New York variant?
Well, I think it's too early to tell what's going on with these new variants. People are talking about a new variant in California that's become the predominant strain, and a variant in New York as well. It's unclear if these are more fit, meaning these new variants are more contagious, or it's just founder's effect. These new variants happened to get into these parts of the country and became the predominant strain. If you look at Google mobility data right now, I know there's been an uptick in cases. We're seeing sort of a leveling off of the declines that we've seen in cases, and there's concern around that, whether or not that could be the new variant starting to have an effect. If you look at Google mobility data, I think that can explain a lot of what we're seeing right now. In the last about maybe 2 weeks or week, Google mobility data has really spiked up. So people are starting to go out again, recognizing that the risk is going down, and also the fact that they've been withdrawing for more than a year right now, and I think a lot of people want to start doing things again. I think that can explain a lot of the recent trends that we're seeing. So I don't think it's necessarily a break in the overall trend. I'm not sure that these new variants really explain what's going on. It's really too early to tell right now.
But why are they happening, Dr. Gottlieb? We went, 6, 7 months of COVID-19 without hearing anything about any variants, and then all of a sudden it feels like there's a new one to watch that could be more contagious every week.
They were happening. We just weren't doing a good job of detecting them, quite frankly. These new variants were happening all across the world, basically through convergent evolution. I mean, they're just popping up because there's so much virus. This virus has figured out how to mutate in different ways. It does seem like there's a finite number of ways that the virus is going to try to change itself, change its protein structure in a way to try to evade our immunity. But they've been happening. What's happening now is that we're sequencing more. So we're starting to detect these new variants as they crop up.
Can you imagine a doomsday scenario where one of these new variants could happen, a mutation that would be resistant to the vaccine, like other viruses have proven to be?
I think it's unlikely that this virus is going to change dramatically in a way that's going to fully evade our vaccines. The mutation that we're most worried about are the ones that change the receptor binding domain, like 351, the South African variant. And it does appear to be the case that that's not going to fully evade these vaccines. Some of these vaccines could be quite effective against that change even still. So I think if there is going to be an evolution in this virus that's going to happen over a period of time, that we're going to have the capability to change these vaccines, to update these vaccines in ways that we can keep up with it. So I think it's unlikely to be a situation like you have for flu, where within the span of a single season, the flu virus can mutate so dramatically that it can almost fully evade our vaccines, like it did in the 2017-2018 season, where the predominant strain of flu that season, the vaccine was only 18% effective against that strain. I don't think we're going to see that happen here. I think we're going to see it coming. We have the tools now to keep up with it, and we're going to have more sequencing, better sequencing in place to spot these emerging variants as they occur.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.